Hey YouTube, this is Daisha, aka Hair Love D, and today I'm recording my first YouTube video, so if I seem a little nervous, it's because this is my first video. So, with that being said, today I wanted to share with you 10 things that I did to grow my hair. I've been on my hair journey for about 3 years now. I did my big chop in February of 2011. I am relaxed, so I, essentially just chopped off dead hair. I didn't do like a big chop to go natural. I just cut off all my dead hair, or my bad hair, or whatever you want to call it. So, here we go. 10 things I did to grow my hair. The first thing that I did is that I educated myself. So for those of you who watched my other video or slideshow or whatever you want to call it, you'll notice that I referenced a book by a lady named Kathy House. I pretty much said that that book, helped to kickstart my healthy hair journey. Well, it did, but I didn't just stop at that book. I continued to do research. I did Google searches, I went to hair websites, I went to blogs. I did everything I could possibly do to try to learn more about taking care of hair. And when you do your research, or when I did my research, I had to keep an open mind, because when I first started, I was learning all these things that went completely against everything that I already knew or thought I knew about hair. So if you decide to do what I did, I would definitely say that you should just keep an open mind when you're doing your research. The second thing that I did to grow my hair is that I developed a regimen. And in my regimen, I made sure that I had quality products. And this kind of goes back to doing the research, because if you don't do research, then you really won't know what type of products to even try to begin with. What products to stay away from, what products to kind of gravitate towards. You won't know things about reading the labels for the ingredients, what order they should be in, what's the highest concentration. All these things you kind of learn from doing research, and once you do your research, you can develop a regimen that will help you to succeed in your hair journey. The third thing that I did was that I started to keep my hair properly moisturized. Now, that is a big thing with textured hair, is that you have to keep it moisturized. And one of the things that you'll learn, like I said, in research, I guess I'll keep saying research because it was a big thing, is that the tighter your curl pattern is, the harder it is to keep moisture in your hair. So people with tighter curl patterns, such as myself, will have to just moisturize their hair a lot more than people with, naturally straight or finer hair. So that is a big thing. The fourth thing that I did is that I began to stretch my relaxers. So before I started my healthy hair journey, this was so dumb, but I had a hairstylist tell me that it's healthy to get your hair relaxed every month, because if you start to let your hair go natural, then it'll shed a lot more. And it was all kind of stuff. And now that I'm on my healthy hair journey, I realized that it was just dumb. Everything that she told me was dumb. So after doing research, I realized that I needed to stretch my relaxers, which means to just have more time in between your relaxers. So if you were like me and foolish and relaxing your hair every month, try to stretch it out to about 3 to 4 months. And what that does is that it allows your hair to grow, so that you can see what hair has been relaxed and what hair has not been relaxed, so that you don't over process hair that's already been relaxed with fresh relaxer. The fifth thing that I did is that I started to use protective styling. So what protective styling is basically just keeping your hair in a way that is off your shoulders or off your clothes, and it is, not somewhere where you're gonna mess with it all the time. So protective styles are things like braids, it's things like buns, even high ponytails, because your hair isn't necessarily rubbing on your shoulders. Buns are a lot better because they protect your hair from the elements like the heat, the cold, and things like that. But there's a whole lot of protective styles. You know, as soon as you get on your healthy hair journey or you start researching, you'll begin to see so many protective styles that you didn't even probably realize were protective styles or were things that would protect your hair to help it to continue to grow. So protective styling was a must on my hair journey. The seventh thing that I did to help me to grow my hair is that I reduced the amount of heat and manipulation that I did to my hair. I used to flat iron my hair probably every day, which I didn't realize was completely destroying my hair. In fact, it was so bad that every time that I would do my hair, I usually would have to sweep the floor. Now, if you're at the point where you do your hair and you have to sweep the floor afterwards, something is terribly wrong, and it's about time for you to start your healthy hair journey, because your hair is not healthy. Your hair should not be shedding that much, it should not be breaking that much, and you certainly should not have to sweep the floor after you do your hair. So I realized that by using too much heat, I was drying my hair off and just making it tough. Drying it out and making it tough and brittle and a lot easier to break off. And that was keeping my hair short like for a long time. So I started to reduce the amount of heat. My first year, I broke it up into like 4-month increments. So I think that I only got 3 relaxers that year. And so every time that I would get a relaxer, that's when I would straighten my hair. And then I would just keep it in protective styling all the way up until I went to get my next relaxer. And as I got more comfortable with learning how to take care of my own hair and how to use heat safely and all that other stuff, I started using heat a little bit more. But definitely, I definitely never went back to using heat every day. And I also try to space it out, still keep maybe a month or so in between when I put heat onto my hair. In my video, the ones who watched my video, you saw that I did a no heat challenge. That was for an entire year. So for a whole year, I didn't put any heat on my hair. And that really helped a lot. So like I said, just kind of reduce the heat. Doesn't have to be as extreme as a whole year or every 3 to 4 months. But you know, at first maybe you can try to push it back to once a week and then maybe once a month or something like that, but just try not to do it every day. The 8th thing that I did, which may sound a little funny when it comes out, was that I stopped fearing water. Now, most of us growing up kind of have somewhat of a fear of water. You know, you're not gonna just jump into the pool whenever you want to. And honestly, I grew up not washing my hair a lot. In fact, before my healthy hair journey, I would say that the minimum I would go without washing my hair was probably like a month. So I don't think I ever washed my hair any more often than a month at a time. But when I started my healthy hair journey, I started washing my hair once a week. This helps to keep moisture in your hair, because it just doesn't make sense that black people or people with textured hair in general need to keep their hair moisturized, but then turn around and say we're not going to wash our hair because that dries out our scalp or washes out the natural oils or anything like that. Like, we definitely have to wash our hair, and we have to keep our scalp clean. And there's a way to wash your hair without necessarily stripping your hair completely. There's a lot of things, like there's different methods, or even there's co-washing or all kind of things, but definitely you need to start to wash your hair. The 9th thing that I did was that I began to listen to my hair, and that sounds kind of funny too, but listening to your hair is just knowing what your hair does or doesn't need. Like, for instance, if you notice that you're having a lot of breakage, then your hair might need some protein. Or if you notice that your hair is very dry and very brittle or whatever, you may need moisture. You may need a really good deep conditioner or something like that. So it's, you know, once you get onto your journey and you start to do your research and everything, you'll start to notice what your hair does and doesn't need and when it needs it. So that's one thing that I did, is that I started to listen to my hair. And finally, the 10th thing that I did is that I began to really handle my hair with care. One thing about your hair is that your ends are the oldest part of your hair. So that's the part of your hair that's going to need the most attention, and it's also going to require that you handle it with the most care. So you can't go doing things like ripping the comb through your hair, or like I said, flat ironing it every day and stuff like that, because depending on how long you're able to make it on your healthy hair journey, the ends of your hair could be 3, 4, 5 years old. And because they're that old, you know, they require a lot more care. And also something that goes into that is finding someone that is going to care for your hair the way that you care for your hair. Like me, it took me a minute into my hair journey to finally be bold enough to go and try to find a hairdresser. Because once you get into your hair journey, you're going to realize that just because they can do hair does not mean they can take care of hair. So you're going to have to really find someone that you trust with your hair, you know, that won't over process it when they're relaxing it, that won't, you know, just run the comb through it really just tough and break your hair off, and that won't cut more of your hair than you want when you're getting a trim and stuff like that. So that is, you know, the 10th thing that I can say that I did on my hair journey to help grow my hair, was to handle it with care and to find somebody that would handle it with care. So that's about it. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure that you like and subscribe. And yeah, thank you for watching. All right, YouTube, bye.